Alrighty, hopefully this is the last lesson of the year. We're going to discuss probability. Probability is nothing but a fraction that consists of the number of outcomes, or what you want, out of the total number of outcomes. Another way to word it is the possibilities desired out of the total possibilities. We sometimes write probabilities as fractions, decimals, or percents. So you should know how to change a fraction into a decimal and into a percent. Those are skills you should already have. The first one says, suppose there is a bag with one red marble, one green marble, one blue marble, and one purple marble. If I pick one out randomly, what is the probability of the marble being red? So in this bag, we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 marbles. So that's our denominator. And of those 4 marbles, only one is red. So the probability of picking a red marble is 1 out of 4. As a decimal, you simply type 1 divided by 4 in the calculator, and it's going to give you 0.25. And to turn that into a percent, you should remember from intermediate or elementary that you move the decimal over to the right 2 spaces. So this is also 25%. So you have a 25% chance of picking a red marble. The second problem says, if I pick one out randomly, what is the probability of the marble being green? So my denominator is still 4 because there's 4 marbles in the bag, and there's only one green marble, so the probability of it being green is 1/4, or as a decimal, again, it's 0.25, or as a percent, it is 25%. We have the same scenario, but now what's the probability of it being red or green? So the total is the same, 4. To be red is 1, plus to be green, it's also 1. Rewind. So in this situation, you're going to take the probability of being red and add it to the probability of being green. Because whenever it says or, that means add in statistics or probability speak. So the probability of being red was 1/4. The probability of being green was 1/4. So when you add these two fractions, it becomes 2/4. That's your probability. As a decimal, it's 0.5. And as a percent, that means 50% chance. The next one says, what is the probability of the marble being red, green, blue, or purple? So that means 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is equal to 4/4, which is 1, and that's 100%. All right, when trying to trying for more than one thing, or if you have more than one event, you multiply the probabilities together. But there's two different types. We have with replacement and without replacement. With replacement is exactly as it sounds. You put an item back. So if I want to select, 2 books out of 5 with replacement, that means after I take one book, I replace it back. So my total does not change. However, without replacement means not only do I pick my first book, but I hold on to it and keep it. And then when I go to grab the second book out of 5, my total has now decreased to 4. So with replacement and without replacement are keywords to look for to determine if your total is going to change or stay the same. So again, I have my marbles, one red, one green, one blue, and one purple. If I pick one out randomly and then with replacement pull another one out, what is the probability of getting a red and then a blue? So again, that key phrase with replacement. So that means when I grab my first marble, I'll put it back into the bag, and then I now have that chance of getting, I'm sorry, I had a technical difficulty. But again, with replacement is the key word. So that means when I pick one marble out, I put it back in to pick the second one. So for my so I need the probability of getting a red times the probability of getting a blue. So the probability of getting a red, we already established, is 1 out of 4. Now, since I'm putting the red one back, my total is still 4 when I reach for the blue marble. And in that bag, there's still one blue marble. So it's 1 over 4 times 1 over 4, which becomes 1 over 16. And let's convert it to decimal. So 1 divided by 16 is 0.0625. And as a percent, that would be 6.25%. Because again, you move the decimal twice to the right. Now, it says without replacement, pick one out, and then what's the probability of getting a red and then a blue? So watch how it slightly differs from the one we just did. So again, I'm still finding the probability of getting a red and then a blue. So again, the probability of getting a red is 1 out of 4. But now my denominator has decreased by 1 marble, so that means it's 3. And the probability of getting a blue is 1 out of 3. So now I multiply those two fractions and I would get 1 out of 12. And let's put this into the calculator. 1 divided by 12 is 0.833 roughly. But as a percent, that's 8.33%. So it does make a difference to those two keywords. Same scenario, one red, one green, one blue, and one purple. If I pick one randomly with replacement, what is the probability of getting a red and then another red? Ooh, very tricky. Again, this is with replacement. So the probability of getting a red and then another red. So the first one is 1 out of 4. And then if I replace it, it's also, again, 1 out of 4. So that's 1 over 16, which we said earlier was 0.0625, which is the same thing as 6.25%. Now, I'm sure it's going to be the same question, but with replacement, without replacement. So I will let you do that one on your own. And you tell me what the probability should be. I'm sorry. Let's do this one together. Probability of getting a red times the probability of getting a red. So the first probability is 1 out of 4. But if you don't put it back, it goes down to 3 in your denominator. But there's only one red in the bag. So if you've already picked that one red, that means it'd be 0 out of 3 next. So 1 times 0 is 0. So you have a 0% chance of picking one red and then another red. You can't do that. There's only one red in the bag. Sometimes students like to make an outcome chart or tree. So we're going to have the same situation for marbles, and we're pulling 2 without replacement. So let's say my first try, on my first try, sorry, I have 4 different options. So I have red, I have blue, I have green, and I have purple. So my second pull without replacement, if I pick the red first, that means my second one could be a blue, a green, or a purple. And then if I pick blue first, my options are to pick a red, a green, and then a purple. And if I pick green first, my options are to pick a red, a blue, or a purple. And then lastly, if I pick a purple first, my options are picking a red next, a blue next, or a green. So when the question had said the probability of first picking a red and then the probability of picking a red and then a blue, I believe it said, in that order, you have 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's without replacement. And we just calculated that. So you can use a tree. It just takes a little longer, as you see, to develop the tree and then figure out the probability. Okay? And that's without replacement. matters, we call that a permutation. When order doesn't matter, we call it a combination. And basically this will cancel out repeats since the n group is still the same. So let's show you how to calculate a permutation in a calculator. For permutations, make sure your calculator is on. You would go to Math, Probability, which is PRB, and Permutation is option 2. So I believe on this calculator you have to tell it the total number and how many you want to pick. So let's try it. So let's say I want to pick 5. Hold on, clear. I'll come back to this. I need more practice with these calculators. They're different than the ones I'm used to. So we'll be back. But that's how you find the permutation, and then the combination one was just right underneath that. We'll practice with those in class. So things to remember with probability, they can be tricky, so make sure you read the problem carefully. Also remember the fraction is always what you want, your outcome over the total. Whenever you have multiple events, you're going to multiply the probability together or add, like we did on the OR situation. When it said probability of red or blue, you add the probabilities. When it's a probability of red and blue, you multiply. So make sure you know the difference when you multiply or when you add. And then be careful of with and without replacement. And if you want your total number and order matters, it's a permutation. If order doesn't matter, it's a combination. And this concludes our notes for this lesson.